Hello, my loves. How are you doing today? How's your week been? How's your moon cycle been? What do I have for housekeeping for you? Try to think of what I have coming up. There is the new moon rituals that I'm doing. Those are really developing into such an amazing group of women. I'm seeing some of you often and some of you just popping in and getting to know some of you. It is fantastic energy. You can register for those on the website, jodieannpsychicmedium.com. There's always a link in the description to get you to the webpage. It's under New Moon Manifestation. Super powerful magic. Super powerful. I just love hosting this circle, so I hope to see you there. Please join the newsletter. It is coming out once a month. It's all about connecting with each other, staying in touch about what's going on. I get honest about the healing I'm doing, the path I'm walking, what's coming up for me. Gives you a little bit of insight on what's coming out on the YouTube channel, what's coming out on the podcast channel, just to keep you in the loop if I'm running any classes. It's a low volume newsletter. Today's episode is about gratitude magic. And I wanted to tell you about this because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who is going through some stuff. Things are getting heavy, and it reminded me of my own journey. And I really do love that magical thing about this path we're on, how people flow into our lives when we need to be with them. And the wisdom that we carry and the wisdom that they carry often comes together in this really beautiful way. It's so synchronisant. And you know what I want to say in this moment? Is it's synchronisant that we're here together in this moment. Me connecting with you and you connecting with me. There's synchronicity here. You found this podcast for a reason, and I really am grateful for you. So I was talking with a girlfriend of mine, and she's going through some heavy stuff, like really, some stuff. And she was asking me about some of the things I've been through, because I've been through what I call my personal Phoenix fire, where everything burned to the ground. Figuratively, of course, but it all burned. And it was hard, and the rebuild was hard. And we were talking really candidly about it. And I remembered this moment I had when I had a very thriving business reading tarot cards. I had a clientele built up. I was going to multiple psychic fairs a year, big psychic fairs, full weekends, and I was loving it. It was really feeding my soul. And then the Phoenix fire happened, and my energy shifted. I was in survival mode for about 3 years. I was going from fire to fire, crisis to crisis, doing my best to hold myself together and protect my children and give them everything they needed to get through everything we were going through. My energy was so heavy and full of sorrow that I could not vibrate at that high vibe level I was used to. I couldn't hear my guides as easily as I used to be able to. I feel like my clairvoyance, like my clear vision, my clear seeing was clouded by my own grief and my own emotional processing. Like, does that make sense to you? Just when you're overwhelmed. And it was stuff I had to go through. I could not suppress it. I could not bypass it. There was a crisis in my life. Spirituality is a big piece of who I am, my identity, and my lifestyle. Meditation was a regular part of my lifestyle. Doing full moon and new moon rituals was a regular part of my lifestyle. I had women who I was teaching. I had a teaching circle. I had clients who were dependent on me, and I was non-functional. I had to shut down my business because that is what was right at the time, was to take a step back. My clients understood. I have kept a number of those clients right through to this day. I could no longer teach. My energy needed to be used for my children and myself. I didn't have extra to be of service anymore. Pre-Phoenix Fire, I did not work full-time. I was at home in the day with my children and I worked part-time. And I was balancing that with my psychic business and my family responsibility. And when I left my husband, all of that changed drastically. It wasn't an amiable split at all. It was, well, to be honest, it was quite a nightmare. And that is why we call it the Phoenix Fire. Everything changed when I left. In order to support my children, I had to go and double my hours at my muggle job. I walked away from the psychic business. Like I said, I just did not have time. I became the protector of my kids. I was fighting for their rights and my rights through the court system, and it was taking all of my energy. I really struggled to continue my spiritual path. I could not find time for it or energy for it. I was exhausted most days, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. I was in and out of the court systems fighting for everything. Everything was a fight. I was learning to cope in circumstances I had never thought I would be in, and I was doing it alone. So my previous routines of yoga class or meditation and connecting with spirit, all of that went out the window. I needed to find a way to connect while exhausted. And honestly, my loves, I could barely feel the protection of my spirit guides at the time. I knew they were there. I had faith in them. I knew that it was a fog of terror and confusion and survival mode that I could not see through, that was keeping me from hearing my guides, from feeling my guides, from having that connection. I did often receive signs and signals from them. There would be feathers lined up perfectly on my barbecue in the morning. When I would go for a walk, I would see eagles circling, calling, beautiful things. I knew there was support from my patron goddesses, from my spiritual team, my protector guides. I knew that the steps I was taking were correct and true and would work out okay for me and my children. I could feel that. But I was garbage at getting messages. I was garbage at the work I had previously been doing, simply because I was exhausted. And I really, really missed ritual. I really missed the ritual of it. So I don't know when it was. I can remember doing it, and I can remember being in my little apartment I first shared with my children and doing gratitude magic. And that's what I want to talk to you about. I started a ritual of gratitude magic. I reinvented my spiritual routine from the bottom up. I did not have time to take development classes. I was busy writing affidavits to try to get custody of my kids. So every Sunday, after I put my kids to bed, I would do ritual. And it was very simple. I would burn a mix of smoking herbs as a show of gratitude and offering to all of the spirit guides and helpers that I knew were supporting me. I would take the time to thank my ancestors, to thank my protector guides, to thank my patron goddesses, to thank the helpers that I have in the Fae realms for all the things that were happening in my life and all the pieces that I knew needed to be moved in order for my family to thrive. It was a small ritual, a very small ritual. It was all I had the energy for. And I know it is what supported me through that time. It kept me connected and it kept my relationship with spirit growing. I think I did that for about 6 months or so before I actually did a ritual. And I believe the first one I did was during Beltane. I was in my tiny apartment and I really wished I could have been out at a Beltane fire or had time to go and celebrate with friends, but I didn't. And it just felt like a really powerful Beltane for me that year. There was a lot I was leaving behind, and there was a lot I wanted to manifest, and I wanted fertile soil for my new life to grow into. So I took my cauldron, and I'm pretty sure there's a photo of it somewhere in my Instagram feed, so I'll post it up again for you guys when this goes live. I'll put it in the show notes. I took my cauldron and I put 3 candles in it to try to make an indoor bonfire. 3 candles. And I leapt over the fire. And I did it for real. Like, I called a full circle and I called my ancestors and my helpers in. Each deity that I'd been thanking weekly, I called them in and I leapt over that fire, leaving my past behind as a real ritual of letting go of all the things. And at the time, life was a mess. I was struggling to pay my bills. I was fighting in the courts for child support, trying to get custody of my kids. All of my kids were feeling the strain, and I couldn't even get permission from my ex-husband to take them to a therapist. It was a mess. And I was leaping away from that and into the future that I knew was being built with deep, deep gratitude for all of the things that were being done on my behalf. I was leaping forward that Beltane. And I want to tell you these stories because I know that there are people out there in our earbud coven who are also struggling. Whatever their battle is, it's not the same battle as mine, but I know it's hard. And I want you to know that there are tiny things you can take. You don't have to do big ritual. You don't have to do massive spells. If you're leaping towards your future, towards that bright, beautiful hope, your spirit guides will move things for you. They're there even when you can't feel them and see them through the fog of emotion you're dealing with. This weekly ritual helped restore me. This gratitude ritual helped restore my strength. It helped keep me connected to my faith, and it grew into taking further steps towards combining the self-care I was being taught by my therapist and the ritual I was craving. And it started this whole idea of ritual self-care. And I started taking regular ritual baths, just cleansing, sitting and soaking in baths full of crystals and salt, just trying to cleanse and neutralize the deep emotional wounds that I had at the time, to get real healing happening, to do something physical in this realm to represent the big healing steps I was taking through the work I was doing on freeing myself from codependency, on growing strong, on recovering from the trauma. It's even where my soap company started building out of, because I wanted to do something So I'd always made soap, right? Like I'd been making soap for years, but to make ritual soap that had infused spell work in it and self-love in it and care in it was the step I took. And I did that for a few years. I know a lot of you remember that. I know some of you in the Earbud Coven have been with me since those times when I was peddling soap at psychic fairs and have really enjoyed the products. And this is how it came to be. It grew out of the desire to do magic when I had a great day, when I felt good, when I was healing, and when I was in a place of calm. I would make a batch of soap and I would infuse it with deep self-love, and I would make bath salts so that on the days that I felt like absolute garbage and just so drained and almost like a hollow hologram, I was so exhausted, I would take the products I had made on a good day and I would fill my bathtub up with the love and the nurturing and the care that I needed. And I offer that to you today. I offer you, when you're having a good day, do something for yourself. You could do something spiritually, ritually, to create a safety net for yourself in the future. You can weave a spell. You can charge up a crystal. You can charge up some bath salts. You can charge up whatever you want. And then you can take that charged crystal and you can wear it on a day that you're down, and you can let that good feeling you had on that good day revive you and brighten you up. And I offer you the idea of a simple gratitude ritual. I know everyone gratitude journals. I think gratitude journals are great, but I think we could level it up, sisters. I think we could do gratitude rituals. Light a candle and let it burn in thanks and gratitude for all the help you receive from your friends, from your ancestors, from your patron goddesses, from your power animals. Let that light shine and reflect how much you appreciate the work being done for you in the background. And then on the days that you feel like the world is conspiring against you, because we all have those days, you can think about that candle and remember, no, or maybe even on those days when you feel like the world is conspiring against you, maybe that's a day to light the candle. Remind your beautiful human mind that your soul knows what it's doing, that you're on the right path, and that no story with you in it will ever end with you at the bottom. You're just in the tricky part of the hero's journey. You'll get through. I know you will, sister. As we get close to Beltane again, I just wish you the best of the season and that you can leap into your future. I'm going to be lighting candles again and leaping forward because I feel like this has really been a big transformation over the past 10 months for me. And I want to leap forward again this spring. As we get to Beltane, I want to jump forward into the future. And so wherever you are on Beltane, I hope you're jumping forward too. And I'll be thinking of you and wishing you well. Okay, my beautiful Coven sister, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, no matter what it is you're doing. Wish you all the best. How do I say this? Let me think about this for a second. You can infuse some I reinvented my routine, my spiritual routine. How do I want to say that? I have a hell of a time saying this out loud. This is tough. This is a tough one.